The Klay Thompson sweepstakes have officially started. As you guys probably know, the Warriors dynasty with the core of Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson is more than likely coming to an end because Klay Thompson is testing free agency. There's rumors that he's looking for a fresh start. There's still a chance that he comes back to the Warriors, but it's pretty unlikely. And so today I'm going to be ranking the top 10 landing spots for Klay Thompson for the 2024-2025 season. If you guys are new, click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 3K subs. Before I get into my top 10, I have a few teams that I just think really have a really low chance / no chance at getting Klay Thompson. And the first team is the Detroit Pistons. Now, I have to mention them because they have the most projected cap space in this offseason, so they have a lot of money. So with all of these big free agents that are going to be rumored and stuff, the Pistons are always going to, have a chance at them. But just being a Klay Thompson fan and being a Warriors fan and knowing how Klay Thompson is, I just don't see him going to Detroit Pistons. In fact, I don't think he wants to go to a losing team. Klay Thompson at heart is a winner. He hates losing. A lot of people do, but with him, I feel like it really eats him up at night. He does not want to lose. So the Pistons, the only way they can get him is if they really, really overpay him to the point where it's just what are you doing? The second team that I think has a pretty low chance is going to be the Charlotte Hornets. They have the 7th most projected cap space, but again, this is a team that's going to be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and I just don't see Klay Thompson going there. It's another situation where they really have to overpay him to the point where you're like, what are you doing? At number 10, I have the Utah Jazz. The Jazz have the 4th most projected cap space going into the offseason. And again, I think Klay wants to have a chance at winning with the Jazz. You kind of have that a little bit, but I mean, they're probably just going to miss the play-in again. They're not terrible, but they're not good either. This is one that I really just don't see happening. But if I'm ranking 10 teams that Klay might go to, I mean, I'm really ranking a third of the league. So I had to put someone at this 10th spot. It's the Jazz since they have a lot of money. There's a chance, but I don't really see it happening. At number 9, I have the Sacramento Kings. The Kings have the 11th most projected cap space going into the offseason. This is the team that just missed the playoffs due to a few injuries. Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk missed the end of the season, which was kind of crucial for them. They did just re-sign Malik Monk. I believe he got 4 years, so that is kind of a big thing. When you're talking about signing another big shooting guard, maybe that's not going to happen now. But are the Kings just going to run it back again and again? I don't know. At some point, I feel like there's got to be some change here. They could slide Kevin Huerter to the bench after he kind of had an underwhelming year. I think he only averaged 10 points per game. He really wasn't anything special. And I want to make this point right now because I already know there's a general consensus. There's a general idea in the NBA media that Klay Thompson is bad and that Klay Thompson is not good anymore. That's not true. He averaged 17 points per game on almost 40% from 3. He's a good player. He just didn't do as well as he used to, but it was still close. The second half of the year, he picked it up and it just burns. It just sucks that in the elimination game, he shot 0 for 10. So that's just going to leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth, I feel like. At number 8, I have the New York Knicks. Out of pretty much all the teams in the list, the Knicks have the least amount of money. They're 24th in most projected cap space. So they're towards the bottom of the league with money to spend going into this offseason. I don't really see this one happening. I mean, this is the 8th most likely team for me. Klay could play the 2, move Dante DiVincenzo to the bench. I know Knicks fans love Dante DiVincenzo though, and they probably wouldn't love Klay, especially at first with all the bad media around him or the bad whatever reputation he has right now. I could see the New York media just absolutely hammering Klay Thompson. This could go catastrophically wrong for him. I don't think that this is really going to happen, and I don't think Knicks fans would want this to happen because Dante DiVincenzo, I feel like people kind of see as a mini Klay Thompson. Some Knicks fans would probably argue that he's better than Klay Thompson, especially at the discount you're getting when you talk about salaries. But one reason that I have the Knicks on here is I know they're going to be pretty active when it comes to free agency or just making trades, stuff like that you probably are going to try to change the team up a little bit. Another thing is OG Anunoby, at the time that I'm recording this, just opted out. I don't really care too much about it because I think he's going to re-sign a long-term deal, but that is something to note. Play to the Knicks seems a little unlikely, but I think the Knicks are really going to try and go all in. They're going to go for it this year and try to win the finals. So you never know. At number 7, I have the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors have a lot of money to spend. They just got rid of Siakam. They just got rid of OG Anunoby, and now they're building around Scotty Barnes. Gary Trent might walk in free agency. We still don't know about that. And Klay would be a starter here. There's some teams where it's you're not sure if Klay's starting. Maybe he's the 6th man. You don't know. The Raptors, aren't the best of teams. They're not the worst of teams. I could see maybe Klay signing like a 3-4 year deal with the Raptors and having that kind of rebuild around Scotty Barnes. The lineup would be Emmanuel Quickly, assuming he resigns. I think he might be a free agent, but I think he's going to resign. So Quickly, Klay Thompson, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. This is one that I think is pretty unlikely. I think my top 6 are going to be one of the teams that he actually ends up going to. At number 6, I have the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs going into this offseason have the 6th most projected cap space out of all the NBA teams. And I feel like everyone kind of knows, although the Spurs were really bad last year, they're a team that like everyone expects to be good. Whether it's probably not gonna be this year, but you know, in 2, 3 years, 4 years, we're expecting the Spurs to be a consistent playoff team. And so that's the one thing, because I don't know if Klay's gonna take the best offer when we're talking about money. I just feel like Klay Thompson at this point, he's already won what, 4 rings, but I feel like he wants more. He wants to win. I don't see Klay taking a bag and going to play for some random team. The Spurs, they're not a random team, but they're not going to win right now. So this is another team where I could see if Klay's going to go there, it would probably be like maybe a 3 to 4 year deal. Klay Thompson would be a part of this San Antonio Spurs Wemby rebuild, and I feel like he would be perfect as far as like spacing and just team building goes around Wemby. I think Klay would be a really good fit. I feel like this makes sense for pretty much everyone involved, but it's just a matter of, does Klay trust the process? Does Klay trust in the Spurs management to kind of turn this around and get back to their winning ways? At number 5, I have the Dallas Mavericks. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the Mavs have a little money to spend. They're 14th most in projected cap space for this free agency. Derrick Jones Jr. is a free agent. He might walk. And another guy that I believe is a free agent is Tim Hardaway Jr., who basically was ineffective in the playoffs. He was up and down. Some series they barely played him at all, and then sometimes they just randomly threw him in for 20 minutes. It was weird. Tim Hardaway Jr. had a weird playoff run, and it seems like the Mavs will not be re-signing him. And who would be the perfect fit to replace a Tim Hardaway Jr.? And also, it kind of feels like the Mavs are looking for a 3, especially if Derrick Jones Jr. leaves. I know Klay's more of like a 2, but I think he's tall enough he can play the 3. Klay could be a really good fit on the Mavs alongside Luka and Kyrie. And this is a team that was just in the NBA Finals. So again, going off the fact that I think Klay really wants to win, most players, of course, want to win, but I just get the vibe that Klay's not going to a random team. This would be a perfect fit. They were just in the finals. They're probably going to go on a deep playoff run again next year. Only thing about this is, would the Mavs do it? Because I don't know if this team would lack some backcourt defense. They probably would, because Luka, Kyrie, already not the best at defense. You bring in Klay, who, yeah, he used to be a pretty solid defender, but at this point in his career, he's not the defender that he used to be. So that's my only question mark with this one. At 4, I have the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are always going to have a chance at Klay Thompson since they drafted him. I don't know how many years ago at this point, 12 years ago. He's been a lifelong Warrior. But right now, it seems like he's gonna leave. There's no offer right now on the table for Klay Thompson to return to the Warriors. Now, I have seen that the Warriors may match whatever offer he gets. Let's say the Mavs give him an offer, or whatever team gives him an offer. The Warriors might match it, but there's also rumors that Klay Thompson kind of wants a fresh start, and he is very unlikely to return to this Warriors team. As he's been a lifelong Warrior, I feel like the Warriors will give him some type of offer. It would just be really disrespectful for them not to. They'd go off on bad terms. I don't really think that's going to happen. So there will be an offer. So there's just always a chance that he will return to the Warriors. But the Warriors are a team that I think everyone expects to look very different compared to what they looked like last year, with them potentially losing Klay Thompson, potentially trying to get rid of CP3 and Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors have to decide the direction of the team. Are they still trying to go for it all right now? You know, trade some young assets, maybe draft pick stuff like that, maybe bring in a guy like Paul George, which maybe I'll talk about in another video. Or do they want to trade CP3 and Wiggins and start to really rebuild, pick up assets and stuff like that, young players? Not completely sure what the Warriors are thinking, although I think they're still going to go for it and try to win it all while they still have a little time with Steph Curry left. At number 3, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm gonna say it right now, and I love making prediction videos. I love making projections. You guys will see those videos all summer, even when the NBA season starts. This is my early pick to come out of the West for next year. I mean, the team is crazy. Right now, they got a lineup of SGA, Caruso, Lou Dort, J-Dub, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren. That team defensively is insane, and offensively, I'm sure they'll be really good. Like, they'll probably be top 2 in both. And this is a team that, if you've been keeping up with the NBA, has a lot of money to spend. It's a very young team. They got people on rookie contracts, so they have a lot of money. They're 5th most in projected cap space going into free agency. They also have a lot of draft picks. That doesn't really have to do with this right now. But all I'm saying is that this is a team that people expect to make moves. Now, they just brought in Alex Caruso, so maybe that makes it less likely that Klay Thompson would come there, although I think they could get him and send Lou Dort to the bench, or maybe they put Klay on the bench. And I think, again, Klay wants to win. He does. I just know he does. And I think he potentially could be okay with being in that sixth man role for the Thunder if they're going to be the best team in the league. I don't see why he wouldn't be okay with that. Although I do think there's ways to get him into the starting lineup, whether it's, you know, Caruso off the bench or it's Lou Dort. I could really see Klay Thompson going to the OKC Thunder. At number 2 is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers have a lot of money. They are second most in projected cap space, so they got a lot of money to spend. They only have like 3 players on contract right now. We talked about it in last video. It's like Joel Embiid, Paul Reed, and Ricky Council. So they got a lot of money to spend. We're already seeing some rumors circling. Klay Thompson might go to the 76ers. They're also looking into getting Paul George, although I think that's died down, you know, over the past week. It's just kind of hard to predict what this 76ers team will look like. So maybe Klay Thompson waits, see what, you know, who they draft, see who they kind of bring in through free agency. Maybe he kind of sits on the decision. I feel like Tyrese Maxey, Klay Thompson, and Joel Embiid, that sounds like a pretty good mix. Then you just pick up like a defensive, you know, 3-4. That team would be pretty good. And again, I think the Sixers would be willing to give Klay Thompson a bag, and they're also a pretty good team. So I feel like that's just a perfect mix. The Sixers are one of my top landing spots to get Klay Thompson this year. At number 1, I have the Orlando Magic. This is my favorite landing spot for Klay. It just kind of feels right. They have a lot of money. They're third most in projected cap space, so they got so much money to spend. Again, this is another team that is very young. They got a lot of people on rookie deals, and they're trying to build around their superstar. I'm not going to call him a superstar yet, but soon. Their star, Paolo Banchero, who needs more spacing around him. And what does Klay provide? Spacing. There's probably not someone better you can get in free agency than Klay Thompson when we're talking about spacing. And another thing Klay has that I really haven't mentioned is he has that championship DNA. Again, 4 rings. He's been there before. He's a player you want. I feel like, I would say, to build a winning culture, although I know a lot of you guys would disagree. You're bringing up the 0-10 in the elimination game. I know people make fun of him, but still, he's got the championship DNA. He's been there before. Magic are a team that could use a 2-guard or a wing right now. Possibly they're going to lose Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, and Okeke. So the lineup would be Jalen Suggs, Klay Thompson, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and more than likely Wendell Carter Jr. That lineup sounds pretty good. And this is a team that's gonna be better. They almost beat the Cavs in 7 in the first round when no one really expected them to win that one. Suggs is gonna be better. Franz and Banchero, you can pretty much pencil in. You kind of expect them to be better as well. Play to the Magic just feels like the most likely thing right now, at least in my opinion. I'm gonna be doing videos like this all off season. Subscribe if you guys haven't. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.